Hello, good morning, everyone in Hong Kong. Welcome back to the Beer Garden. Today, we are going to talk about the Happy Valley preview with Steve and Nathan. This time, it is quite tough, I would say, because among the 9 races tonight at the Valley, there will only be in 2 distances, including 1,200 meters and 1,650 meters. And you will see there are the horses are from class 4 and class 5 and class 3 also, but there are some batches that divided into 2 groups or even 3 groups. So the runners are really competitive in the same race, so it is not going to be an easy cut. So yeah, we are going to talk about the treble first, race 7 to race 9, and then our best bets and value bet as usual. And the weather now in Hong Kong is quite good, so hopefully the ground will be good and we can find you some winner. So let's talk about the first race of the treble, and it will be race 7. It is a class 4 over 1,200 meters. Let me start with Nathan. Who is your pick in race 7?
Yeah, again, as you did mention, it is a very tricky card, particularly the last 3 races that we're covering, and this one is no exception. It's class 4, so there's sort of a few horses here that are petering on a class drop towards the bottom of the page, and then the ones up top, they're the ones on the improve. You look at a horse like Compassion Super, and that's the one I've landed with on top. Hugh Bowman, who is absolutely airborne at the moment, riding the city circuit like a man possessed. And then on Sunday, I believe he rode a treble on Sunday afternoon as well. So he's just riding out of his skin at the moment. And when we're racing in the C+3, I tend to be leaning in favour of horses that are up on the speed. And I think Compassion Super here gets a really nice map from barrier 3. Draws perfectly, as I mentioned, with Bowman on board. It should be able to jump and follow Mega Bonus everywhere it goes. That'll be a natural leader from barrier 1 with the claimer Angus Chung on board. So Mega Bonus will ping the lids. Compassion Super should just be sitting in behind there with a lovely cart into the race. And around 4.4, I think, is a fair favourite in the race. And there is another horse in the race that's on the improve, and that's number 8, Flying on the Turf, obviously going for 3 in a row. And I talked about Hugh Bowman going well. Jamie Richards going just as well as a trainer at the moment over in Hong Kong. He's absolutely flying. So that's another horse I could definitely interest me at the on the improve, Flying on the Turf. But I just thought Compassion Super, he won 2 back at Charene, and then last start just ran to Super Arian, Righteous Arian, pardon me, who got a perfect run from back half of the field. But again, back in the C+3, I think is the key factor for this horse. It just gets the perfect run in transit, and if it can replicate what it did last time, with the top weight against Roger Arian, only got lipped out in that race. I think he's the one to beat, and so I've got him on top. Active Faith's the horse I've got a lot of time for. Draws well enough here from barrier 6. Racing Fighter, I was with first up and then disappointing second up, so not sure what to do with that guy, especially from barrier 12. And then Turbo Power is another horse we've had time for as well. Gets a lovely map from barrier 2, but I kept coming back to Compassion Super. I think it's ready to win again after that win 2 back at Chartin. And if he can replicate his last start effort at Happy Valley, I think he can be winning again. So Compassion Super on top in the first leg for me.
Yeah, so number 1, Compassion Super for Nathan. Yes, it is quite tricky. In this race, there are so many good sprinters with good form, and Compassion Super, this time ridden by Hugh Bowman again, and this Australian jockey just had a great result last Sunday at Chartin. What about you, Steve? Who do you pick in race 7?
Well, as you've both mentioned, a very tricky card, and none as tricky as this probably in race number 7. Very hard to pick the winner. I went for number 2, Act of Faith. A bit of a leap of faith, to be honest. He's only had 4 runs. He was very impressive on his second run. I liked the way he defeated Yellowfin. That was off the introductory mark of 52 under Zach Pert. And he wasn't disgraced next time. He was 7th next time. And then last time, I suppose, a little bit disappointing. Yes, to turn form around with Compassion Super and Mega Bonus. I don't think he ever had real daylight that day coming into the straight. He was still a bit disappointing. But if you go back 3 runs to that win second up, there's obviously more there than he showed on his previous 2 runs. He remains £7 above his last win, but he's still a nice horse. Nice that Nathan alluded to the horse there as well. And Antoine Hamlin keeps the faith. Of course, when he did win, he was ridden by Zach Pert, and it's no surprise that Zach keeps the faith with Flying on the Turf, who's doing exactly that and is aiming for his hat-trick. And of course, as Nathan says, Compassion Super won 2 his last 2 starts, a good second last time. But yes, the horses at the top do look to be the ones to follow, with the exception of the Flying on the Turf, who lower down still looks like a horse that is fairly handicapped on his past exploits. But for me, Active Faith, he's a young horse. He's still on the up. And if he shows anything like his form second up when winning, then he has to be with a good chance. And he's nicely drawn too.
Yes, I believe so. Number 2, Act of Faith, will be Steve's selection in this race. I think he is a likely race and still have room for improvement. And I think this time carrying top weights again, he already have 2 experience of carrying the top weight. So I think he is able to improve. And for me, I go down to pick number 8, Flying on the Turf. Nathan and Steve just mentioned this horse. He is seeking for a hat trick. And yes, he joined the newly established Jamie Richards stable this season. And the horse is doing quite well. He fits to race, and he is being healthy for all the time. And Sackport and retains on board. And breaking from gate X is okay, I think, because I expect him to stay in a position which will be in the midfield, just like how he won in his last 2 starts. And yes, this race there are some good horses from the top, including Compassion Star and Act of Faith, that are Steve and Nathan's selection. And also, I would like to mention number 3, Mega Bonus, because this time breaking from gate 1, he is the possible leader. So the speed in this race may not be too fast, and it will also be quite favorable for Flying on the Turf, because he can stay behind the leader or in the midfield, which will be quite good for him to win again. And it is good to see that the horse is doing well on the in the recent morning gallops. I think he is now still fit, and carrying 126 pounds should not be a problem for this horse. So hopefully Zach Burton and Jamie Richards, this partnership can have some good performance again on Wednesday at Happy Valley. So to recap, race 7, the class 4 over 1200 meters, Nathan goes to number 1, Compassion Super. Steve likes number 2, Acts of Faith, and I will go for number 8, Flying on Turf. And the second race we are going to discuss will be the second leg of the treble, which will be race 8. It is a class 3 over 1650 meters. Nathan, who do you fancy in race 8?
I thought I'd be getting a better price from On Top Pick. I'm not going to lie, but they've definitely found it. And that's number 5 here, Solar Wins. I say that because last time he went to Charene over the 1400 meters and ran to a horse called Beauty Eternal, who I think we all have a big opinion of. Ran to second that day over the 1400 meters. And I thought maybe he SP'd about $41 on that occasion, and now we've got to take 5 at the moment. So I'm a little disappointed at the price. But I do think he'll drift, because this, again, is another one of those races where there are chances all over the page. But just on Solar Wins, I love gate 1. And I mentioned to you, Bowman, I think I found him a few times on this card. And from that gate, I think if this horse can just jump slightly better than he has been, I think he can take up a closer position. You go back through his runs, he's been very much a get back half of the field type of horse. But I think that's been more of a circumstance of his barriers. He's drawn 6, 13, 10, and 11 in his last 4 starts. And I think it's just forced him to go back in those races. But now, drawn gate 1 at Happy Valley, you go back to his runs behind Starbright and Street Scream. He actually took a midfield sit over the 1200 meters, and now up to the 1650. I think they can be a lot more positive here with Bowman on for Casper Founds. And we've mentioned the Sen-October combination they have. Hopefully, they can pull off something similar here on Solar Wins. So I think if he can jump, put himself a bit closer in the run, hopefully I've got him mapping about 3 pairs back up on the inside. And I think that's a pretty good spot for a horse like this, particularly in this race where I do think there's going to be an okay tempo on speed with horses like All Riches going forward from barrier 10. And so I think there'll be a genuine tempo, and also Red Majesty's dropping back in grade as well. So the race doesn't stop there, though. Meaningful Stars, it's got to be an interesting runner here. First up in about a year off. Its trials were really good. It's drawn well. And we saw a horse like Carroitus that had a long time off, was able to come back and do a job first up. So Meaningful Stars definitely caught my eye as a first up runner, but the market hasn't missed him. E-Legend went back in grade and was impressive last time, so now steps back up in grade and gets pert and sticking. So that's another horse that I can definitely humor. And then another horse that I've been sort of spooked. I think I talked about it last time, and that's number 10, Silver Hammer. Got a lot of time for him. I think once he draws a gate, I want to be with him, but barrier 12 tonight looks a little bit tricky. So just wanted to steer against him. But Solar Wind's on top for me, but in a race where it's $5 the field and the market's telling you anything can win this. And I think that's probably right, because I do think it's going to come down to luck. If Solar Winds can find some luck, I think he can win. If he doesn't, it's anyone's race. So I've landed with Solar Winds, not with a lot of confidence here, because I think this is one of the better races on the card.
Yeah, so another tricky race here, and Nathan is going with another horse that ridden by Hugh Bowman, number 5, Solar Winds. I would say he's not an easy horse to handle, but obviously Hugh Bowman is the best one to be piloting on board. And Steve, what about you? Who do you like in this race?
Yeah, again, a very wide open race. I took a chance with number 4, Sight Spirit, who will be an attractive price, reunited with Karis Thiessen. He had a wide-ish draw last time under Zach Purden, who I don't think it was a very positive ride last time, but you never know what they're thinking. He was sort of 4 wide coming to the turn, and he kind of stayed wide for most of the race. I thought, considering the wide passage he had quite a respectable ride that day, or a respectable run. He's been dropped £2 for that. And if you go back to his first start this season, it was a mark of 80. He was second to Circuit Stella, then up £1 for that. He was then third to Beauty Verse. That's pretty good form at Charene twice. And now he's back down to 74. He's £5 above his last winning mark. But 74 is not too bad. As I say, reunited with Karis Thiessen. The negative is obviously gate 11. It's not easy. But over the mile, if he's dropped in, Rising from Ashes, who I tipped to win recently, came from a wide, and sometimes they come with a withering run down the outside. Well, that's what I'm hoping for. E-Legend, obviously a good chance as well. The Champ Stakes with the distant gelding, and as Nathan says, 2 Solar Winds under Hugh Bowman, riding on the crest of a wave, and he's won from one on the Zoostar gelding as well. So great chance there. But yes, an open race, and when you have an open race, it's nice to try and pick a big priced one, and hopefully Sight Spirit can, even if he make the frame, I'd be delighted.
Yes, so number 4, Sight Spirit, will be Steve's selection in race 8. The price now is quite attractive. It is now 15-1. Maybe the horse is breaking from the wide draw, but yes, he's really competitive at his rating, I think. And for me, I will go for the last time winner, number 8, E-Legend. And actually, I think it is too difficult to pick only one horse in this race. But finally, I go with number 8, E-Legend, who won last time out in Class 4, also ridden by Zach Purden. And then it was quite a solid victory for him, because he won easily last time out, although the rivals are not the same with this time, because this time he was up in Class 3 again. But I think he is still able to run another good race, because the main point is breaking from gate 2, he can also take the lead again. And then we just mentioned earlier in the show, C+3 course will be used today at Happy Valley. It is a really tight track, so usually it is favorable for some horses from the lower draws. So E-Legend up in class and carrying a lighter weight than last time. Also have Zach Purden on board again. And also a quick mention to the stable, Manfred Mann and is sending lots of good horses tonight, and he is now currently the favorite trainer challenge. So I think E-Legend is one of the winning hope for the stable, so hopefully he will run well again. So to recap, race 8, Nathan goes to number 5, Solar Winds, and Steve goes with number 4, Sight Spirit. And my selection will be number 8, E-Legend. And the last race of the treble, race 9 on the card, it will be another Class 3, but it is over 1,200 meters. And other tricky race here. Nathan, who do you pick?
Yeah, it is. Look, Nordic Dragon's the one that the market wants to be with, and I totally understand. You go back to his 2 wins at Happy Valley, they're outstanding. And then was a little bit disappointing behind Simba last start, but went back to the trial since, and clearly the one to beat. And it's drawn a little bit awkwardly, but he's overcome a wide draw before. So I totally get the price. Just come up a little bit too short for me. And the horse that I've ended up landing with is the first up Australian type, and that's number 4 here, Tiger Legend. I think it's a really interesting runner here. Purden jumps on for Jamie Richards, who picks this horse up. Now, this horse at its peak actually won at Group 3 level up in Brisbane, won the Vorogue Plate over 1350. I thought it was a really nice win, and that was on a heavy track. So if you had any reservations on this guy, it's that his best form is definitely on wet decks. But I just love what I've seen from this horse at the barrier trials since arriving in Hong Kong. All of its runs were on the all-weather surface, but they were all of its trials, I should say, pardon me, were on the all-weather surface. But there was very good hit-outs, and I love the versatility he showed. He went forward, he's taken a sit, and he trialled up against some really nice horses, Master 8 being one of them. And I just thought I was really impressed by his work. And the fact he's come up a big price here at around 8-1, I'm happy to make him my value runner of the day. I think on the each-way basis, he's a very, very good bet. I've mentioned the gate. He's drawn gate 1, and I just think with Purton on, he elects to pick this horse when he could have had a few rides in this race, you'd have to think. But he's picked this guy based on what he's felt at the trial. So that's good enough for me. And at the price, I'm happy to be with him. Again, another race that doesn't stop there, though. I think Star Bright's going well, and you're getting a massive price to find out for him. Adios has been ultra consistent, just draws a bit awkwardly. Go through the whole page. Mark the Moment, pardon me, looks ready to find a win. And then down the bottom of the page, Sugar. I know that's one I've got time for as well. And you're getting a big price there. So there's prices everywhere for some really good horses in this race because of Nordic Dragon, who the market just wants to be with so heavily, which, again, understandable. But at 2.2, I'm happy to steer against. And on the rating here for Tiger Legend, comes here and ends up first up into Class 3, and I think deserves to be. I think he's a really quality galloper at his best, and if he can overcome a good track first up, I think he's a genuine chance. I think he's one of the better each-way bets of the program, despite this being a tricky race. He's just got to find the frame for me, and I'll be getting a return. So happy to back him on the each-way, Tiger Legend.
Yeah, so number 4 in the final race on the card, Tiger Legend. He is making his debut in Hong Kong, coming from Australia with a good form in Queensland, and also settling well in Hong Kong with some good barrier trial performance. And ridden by Zach Burton from gate 1, he is having a really good chance, I also think. And Steve, what about you? Who do you fancy in race 9?
Yeah, I went for the horse that Nathan mentioned, of course, number 6, Nordic Dragon, who is a little bit short. Just hope he can come back to his best. Of course, he's 2 from 2 at Happy Valley, trained by Danny Shum, who's had 7 winners this month alone, and he's so good at one stage that the trainer even entertained thoughts of a tilt at the Classic Mile. And but yes, disappointing last time, of course. But then 2 things, maybe that, well, 3 things possibly. Up to 1400 meters, the new track at Charene, of course, change of track, and also gate 12, not a great help either. So although he remains £8 higher than his last win, I'm still hoping, and you'd still imagine there's improvement there. Started life at 52, nice comfortable win over Melbourne Hall, and then the next time he overcame an £11 impost. That's quite a jump, £11 higher to defeat head of the nearest challenger, which was the very capable, excellent Piers. But as Nathan says, a wide open race. I mean, it's very hard to rule anything out, really. I mean, Adios might say adios to his rivals, and Mark the Moment. He's knocking on the door, isn't he? And yes, an interesting horse, as Nathan says, Tiger Legend, obviously in the same colours as Storm Legend, and a 3-time winner in Australia, twice at Doomben and once at the Sunshine Coast, I believe, Nathan.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. So he was originally with Tony Gollan up in Brisbane, and then I believe he had 1 run under Les Bridge, and I believe he's got an affiliation with the ownership in Hong Kong. So they sometimes send a few of these types over. So that's another reason as well. I just think they don't send them over unless they think they've got a genuine ability to go there and do a job. So he's a very intriguing runner for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
I think a second selection for myself would be Stormtrooper each way. He's 1 win from 22 starts. In his sort of 6 runs so far this season, he's seldom beaten fire. He's one of these horses that I even now think he's capable of more. I thought he was dragged back too far the last time, and sort of pulling and reefing, and he stayed on quite nicely. If you go back, I think it was 3 back, he was 3rd at a massive price on IJC night under Holly Doyle. It was something like $78. He was 3rd to Adios, and he's £6 better off for that. And he's ridden by Ruin Maya this time, Ruin Maya, who in 4 rides on the horse, he's been second twice. So he's just the sort of horse that can flash home at a price. But for me, I'm hoping Nordic Dragon can return to winning a race for Danny Shum.
Yes, so number 6, Nordic Dragon for Steve. Yes, right, he is a lightly raced and finally returned back to his favorite trip, and this is also his winning course and distance. And for me, I'm going with number 2, Adios. And to be honest, I was thinking if the horse is a bit difficult to have a breakthrough because he was doing quite well earlier in the season over the same course and distance. But when he was up in the rating, as he is a bit difficult to have another good performance, maybe. But this time I'm giving him another chance. The main point is having Q Bowman on board. He is good at riding some horses at top weight, so hopefully this jockey can bring some difference to the horse. And I think he needs to overcome the wide draw gate 9 today. Today is not easy, but as long as Q Bowman on board, he can find a good position, I believe, because there are so many good horses here, and some horses with some speed, and maybe here the pace will be a bit faster than normal. So hopefully the pace will be favorable for Adios to have a good position with cover is the main point. And quick mention about another outsider, number 8, the runner. Stepping back to 1200 meters should be his favorite trip, so never underestimate him. But yes, there are lots of good horses with good forms and good form overseas, and also have some good preparation before this race. So I think it is not an easy one. But I will go for number 2, Adios, with 14 to run. I think he is having an each way chance here. So to recap, race 9, Nathan has his value bet here. Number 4, Tiger Legend. Steve goes with number 6, Nordic Dragon. And I will go for number 2, Adios. Yeah, so finally, we finished covering the treble races. They are not easy. And let's talk about our best bets for the day. Nathan, who do you like as your best bet?
Oh, can we not? I'm nervous about this one now. I was confident coming in, and then everyone sent their tips in, and now I'm terrified. Now I'm not sure if I'm anywhere near the mark. So we go to race number 4 on the program from the best bet of the day. Number 4 here for me in E Brother. Look, I've not been a fan of this horse. I'll be open to saying that. I thought, he was beginning to be one of those types that just couldn't win, just couldn't find the winner's enclosure. And then all of a sudden he's won 2 this preparation. And I finally want to be with him. Sylvester de Zeus has been the key to unlocking this guy. He just seems to get him to settle really nicely in his races. You go 3 back at Happy Valley. He went straight to the front and kicked clear. Around 4-1 that day. He beat a horse called Happy Soul, who came out subsequently and actually won, I believe, back down in Class 5. So he tied the form in quite nicely. I thought it was a really solid win. Then he came out again and just got pestered up on speed when Top T debuted and beat him on that occasion, which I think is a nice horse as well. And you can find him throughout the card as well. I believe he's in another race on the same card somewhere. So you can tie him in as well. And then after that, he went to Charene. Looked an absolute beaten commodity. I thought he was gone, but he just kept finding and just kept fighting to the line. It was a really, really good win. Gets a couple extra pounds for that, but I thought he earns it on the win. And the thing for me, I just kept looking at this race and I saw no tempo. I saw no other natural leader. I just thought he'd get an absolute picnic up on speed here. E Brother. The only other horse I think might be able to ping and maybe give him a bit of pressure up on speed would be the class dropper here, number 1, Savvy Delight. Absolutely terrifies me, this horse. I think it's going great. And then Zach Purton jumps on board. So that's the clear danger for me. But I just thought E Brother could lead, kick clear, and just do what he's been doing as of late. And if he can do it again, I thought he was the one to beat and to find his 3rd win of the preparation. So I've gone with E Brother. Ever since de Zeus has gotten on, he's unlocked something in this horse. So I'm just going to be with him for a change. So twice in a row I've been off him. So now I'm with him, and then who knows what will happen. But hopefully E Brother can go straight to the front, kick clear, and get a nice win pretty early on in the card as well. So E Brother for me, the best bet of the night.
Yeah, that's good. So I think so. Number 4, E Brother in race 4 should be the only leader in the field, and he will be favorable from the speed. And we are going to have 3 batches of Class 4 over 1200 meters tonight. And obviously, race 4 is the most tricky one because we are going to have different selections in this race. But let me ask Steve first for your best bet. Who do you like as your best bet, Steve?
Yeah, I went to race 5, number 5, the Fleming Handicap over the 1650 or the mile. It's Division 2 of the Fleming Handicap. Number 5, Packing Succeeder, which I thought was an interesting horse for Peter Ho. He opened his debut. He was 3rd to Super Baby under Matthew Poon, not beaten far. And then last time Purton was on him, where Vincent Ho made a mid-race move, an enterprising mid-race move on Legion of Merit. Didn't work out for Legion of Merit, but he still ran on for 3rd. And when Legion of Merit zipped past Zach Purton on Packing Succeeder. The champ followed, and he disputed the lead turning in, faded back into 7th, but it wasn't a bad run. And I think that it's interesting that Zach Purton retains the faith in Packing Succeeder. Just think he's got a good chance, and rated 53. You'd imagine there'd be a lot more to come off a rating of 53. And Peter Ho needs all the winners he can get. Woodfire Bro, of course, won for him this month, but he needs to get to the number 16, the magic mark for the Jockey Club's requirements, doesn't he, for the season? So he'll be hoping that Zach Purton can produce the goods there. One of these tricky races, though, you could give a chance to Viva Popcorn and a few others, but I'm hoping Packing Succeeder. And River Views, I believe that was one of your selections a short while ago, Charene, and that's a nice low draw. I think he's interesting from an each-way angle, but hasn't had Packing Succeeders had fewer convictions than that one. So hopefully he can win on his third go.
Yes, right. He's a really interesting runner. Number 5 in race 5, Packing Succeeder. He should be a really good miler because he made his Hong Kong debut over this distance as well. And usually the newcomers in Hong Kong, they will start their career at a shorter distance, but yeah, Packing Succeeder make it quite well over 1650, and he also have some good performance as well. And this time, Zach Purton again from gate 5 should be a good chance for him to win again. And for my best bet, it will also be in race 4. I quite like number 1, Savvy Delights, and as we just mentioned, there are 3 batches of 1200 meters for class 4. So the runners are really competitive, but the card dropper in race 4, Savvy Delight, I think he is having a chance to have some good performance because last season he won his first race in Hong Kong over the 1000 meters at Happy Valley, and at that time it was quite a solid victory because he chased from the back carrying 190 pounds. It is not easy to do that, but he broke the maiden in Hong Kong like in that way. And then it is unfortunately he suffered from some setback when he was up to class 3. So John Size just sent him for a short spell, and then this horse turns 5-year-old in this year. He returned in November, and he already had 2 runs in class 3. I think both the 2 starts were not beaten far, but the class 3 rivals were too strong for him to beat. So this time down in class 4 today, carrying a top weight should not be a problem because he is quite a big horse with nearly 120 pounds. So hopefully he can overcome the top weights, especially since there is Zach Purton on board. And we just mentioned about the tempo, the speed in this race. It should not be very fast because E-Brother is the only leader. And I think Savvy Delights are up in distance, and breaking from gate 6, he can also find a good position in the front. So he will be my best bet for the day, race for number 1, Savvy Delight. To recap our best bets on this Wednesday at Happy Valley, race 4, number 4, E-Brother for Nathan, and race 5, number 5, Packing Succeeder for Steve. For me, race 4, number 1, Savvy Delight. So we are having different selections in some races tonight. So hopefully we can have some good performance together. So let's talk about some outsider that we fancy. Our value bet for the day. Nathan, who do you pick? Can you remind us again?
Yep, back to the lucky last. We've mentioned him. I think he's a very nice chance here, Tiger Legend. Originally, I was going to go with Solar Winds, but they put him up favourite, so that's I had to make a curveball late, and I'll go to the lucky last instead. And look, you got to, like Steve mentioned, sometimes when you see these shorter favourites, you either be with them or you got to be hard against, and so I'm going to be hard against him. I just feel like 2.2 is, look, it's fair, but I just thought on the each way, you're getting about that on the place line. So to run a hole, I'm happy to go with Tiger Legend. I think it's a very interesting galloper here first up for Jamie Richards. And he's just got a knack of getting the best out of his gallopers. You've seen a few horses come over and just really been running for him as of late. And he's just got something in the water over there. He's absolutely flying as a trainer. And when Zach Purton elects to stick, I got to respect that as well. Drawn gate 1, gets a lovely run in transit, does this son of Better Than Ready. And I just think he gets the perfect run to run a race first up. And you go back for his Australian form, he's actually got some really nice form lines that I didn't mention. Horses like Prince of Boom and also Shionka, Mimi Lagarde. That's all group level company. So these are proper good horses over here that are still finding their feet and sort of progressing up into Group 3, Group 2 level. So you go for his form. It's solid form. I just think around the price, you're getting a lovely each way bet. about Tiger Legend. He's come up bigger than I thought he would. I had him marked a bit shorter than $7. So the fact that we're getting a nice price as well is a very, very nice, an each way price, I should say, is a good way to boot. So I'll go with Tiger Legend. He's a bit of a query, but I think he's classy. And so first up, I'll go with him. Hopefully he can get us a winner in the lucky last.
Yeah, that's a good value pick for Nathan. Race 9, number 4, Tiger Legend. The owner, Mr. Bonho, is very well known in Hong Kong and also, of course, around the world. He also have some runners in Europe and Australia. And Tiger Legend, before coming to Hong Kong, is already brought by Bonho. So hopefully the owners bring this horse to Hong Kong can also have some good performance as well. And Steve, what about you? Who do you like as your value pick?
Well, you've already picked this race quite well, haven't you? E-Brother and Savvy Delights. I thought I'd join you. Look for a place angle with number 9, Fantastic Choice, which I hope is a fantastic choice. Trained by Dennis Yip, a son of Schwazia. Just 3 runs to date, but I think he's shown promise in each one. He was 9th to Big Me in the over the straight 1,000 meters at Charene, and then next up he was 6th to Dragon's Luck, and it's a race that's worked out fairly well. We had Fast Buck and Prime Motor winning from that, and last time he was also 6th, not beaten too far behind Rattan Kingdom. So I think a nice horse, and I also like the fact that he's been away from action for about 2 months. It's not. I think sometimes they go away for 56 days, they strengthen up. He came back and ran a very encouraging trial earlier this month under Sylvester de Souza. Alexis Bedell gets the gig today, so it'd be a great top 3, wouldn't it? E-Legend, Savvy Delight, and Fantastic Choice in any order.
Yeah, right. A fantastic choice for Steve. Race 4, number 9. He's having a 15-1 chance. And actually, this horse is in my black book because I quite like his pedigree. The progeny of Swazi is doing really, really well in Hong Kong, especially at Happy Valley. So this time, this 4-year-old still improving from a good draw. I think he is also having quite a good chance here. And for me, my value bet goes to race 6. I quite like the Zach Purton's mile, number 1, Publicist. He is an ex-Australian galloper who scored 2 victories at Warwick Farm and Wagga in Australia before coming to Hong Kong. And then the same owner, Mr. Josiah Ma, brought him to Hong Kong and joined the newly established Pierre stable. And it is good to see that the horse is settling well in Hong Kong in a new environment because he ran quite well over 1,200 meters at Charene in Class 3. But when he was down in Class 4, he scored a 3rd when he was down here in January, showing the top weights, the heavyweight is not a problem, it's not a concern for him. But a bit unfortunately, because last time he was scratched last time out after being kicked by another runner near the barriers. So I think we should give him one more chance because he returned quite good in the morning trial. He's doing well in the gallops, showing he is now healthy and fit for racing again. And also, Zach Purton takes the rise for the first time. He has good results with the trainer and also with the owner. So hopefully, Publicist can bring the partnership and other winner for today. So race 6, number 1, Publicist. Let me check the price now. It's 7.1. Quite a good choice for a value pick. So to recap our value bet for tonight, race 9, number 4, Tiger Legend for Nathan, and race 4, number 9, Fantastic Choice for Steve. For me, race 6, number 1, Publicist. So that's all for our preview for tonight's Happy Valley meeting. It is not a tricky that we mentioned a lot about this in our show, but hopefully we can all have some good performance. And thank you for watching. We will see you next time for the Charene preview. It is a big day for racing. We will see the Classic Cup along with the Hong Kong Gold Cup. We will see so many good horses to compete with each other. So really looking forward to that. But yes, this Wednesday at Happy Valley, we also hope to have some good results. See you next time. Once again, thank you for watching. Goodbye.